Then the structure of the bone, its main component of our skeleton, that consists of the bones. You know that there are three parts: bones, cartilage and ligaments are there, that are the part of the skeleton. Let us see how the bones are made up of. It contains the organic and inorganic material. Here its inorganic part, that are the calcium and phosphorus, that consist of 2/3 of the bone. Most major part of the bones are calcium and phosphorus, that are the inorganic substances. Organic meaning carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, etc. That containing 1/3 of the bone part. We can, by certain experiments, we can prove it. If we place the bone in weak hydrochloric acid, the mineral calcium and phosphorus get dissolved, so we will get a flexible part. The organic part, we can separate it out. Then like that, if we burn the bone very strongly, that organic part get oxidized and mineral part, the part of the ash, also we can separate. So we can prove that two components are organic and inorganic parts are there on the skeleton. Then the classification of the bone on the basis of the shape. According to the shape wise, bones are classified into long bones, short, flat and irregular. Different shapes the bones have. Then here a typical long bone is shown in the picture. You can see the picture. Here the inner part, that is fatty yellow bone marrow, is present in the middle part, and red spongy bone marrow is also present at the tip. Red colored both are bone marrow. The middle part, that is fatty yellow part, is there, and again it also has the red colored part are also there. Then the bone cells are the osteocytes. Its picture I shall show you later. That the picture is not here in your textbook. The osteoblast, it is also the bone cell or the osteocytes, that are particular kind of cells that are arranged in concentric ring. You know that the smaller ring in one layer, around that another set of osteoblast, like that in concentric ring these bone cells are arranged in each bone. Then it has certain cytoplasmic extensions, and in between this bone cell mineral deposits are present. Calcium and phosphorus and inorganic substances are present in the bone. That is, osteocytes are the bone cell that are a particular shape. You can compare it with an ant. Ant has several legs, or like a spider shape. It has several cytoplasmic extensions like the legs of the spider. That is the shape of the osteocytes that are present in concentric ring in bone. In that through the middle part of that concentric ring, blood vessels and nerves are also running. So if we break the bone, we can feel the pain, because many blood vessels and nerves are running through the bone. Then its external surface, it is covered by a particular membrane known as periosteum. Periosteum is the membrane, external membrane, that is outer. It has a fibrous membrane and several cellular layers are there in it, and the bones are a lot of blood vessels and nerves are present in the hollow cavity in the bone. Then it has two kinds of bone marrow. Red bone marrow, that is made up of adipose tissue. Adipose meaning fatty tissues. Fat containing cells are present in the bone marrow. Then again A red bone marrow is there. It can produce the red blood cell. Red bone marrow, that is giving red RBC, producing most of the RBC. Then the human skeleton, again we can divide it into two main parts, that are the axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Axis meaning, you know that you learned about the axis of the earth. Axial meaning the main central part, that include the skull, vertebral column, ribs and sternum. You know what is the skull? തലയോട്ടി എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഭാഗം, the vertebral column. All the vertebrae include 31 that make the vertebral column, not 33, that is the vertebral column, and ribs. You know that the rib cage you learn. Sternum is the middle part of the rib cage, that breast bone, that is known as the sternum. That make the main middle part, that is the axial skeleton. Appendicular skeleton meaning the other shoulder girdles, at the shoulder region and the hip region we have several other bones are there, and we have two limbs. The upper limbs are known as the hands and the lower limbs are known as the legs. We have two pair of limb and shoulder girdle, the bones in the shoulder region and the hip region. That bones together make the appendicular skeleton. Axial skeleton meaning the skull, vertebral column, then the rib cage and the sternum make the axial skeleton. Let us learn in detail about the main part of the skeleton. You can see the the skull. It has a cranium. It is made up of 8 immovable bones. You can see the cranium, or the where the brain is protected, and 8 bones, that immovable. Its sutures are very tightly fixed. We cannot move it. Such a that is the skull, and it has its at the back side. The skull has a large hollow. Through it, our spinal cord is coming out. That opening is known as foramen magnum. Through that foramen magnum, through which its spinal cord is coming out. Then we can see the vertebral column. Several vertebrae are there here. Then vertebrae 33 ring-like bones make the vertebrae. You can see the 33. It has a particular that are movable, and according to its region where it occur, it is divided into certain region. In the neck region, that is the cervical vertebrae, that includes 7 vertebrae. You can see the cervical vertebrae here. At the neck region, cervical vertebrae are there. In the thoracic region, 12 thoracic. At the chest region, that vertebrae make the thoracic vertebrae. Then in the stomach, or in the abdominal region, that are the lumbar vertebrae. Then again the sacral region near the hip girdle, that make the sacrum. That is part of the hip girdle. That sacrum you can see here. Then at the sacral region, 5 vertebrae are there, and one that are fused 4 vertebrae appear as one, that is the coccyx region. 5 vertebrae fused together make the coccyx region. Then totally 33 ring-like vertebrae are present in the human backbone. Then the structure of the vertebrae also you can see. then its lower part is formed of a solid cylinder of bone called the centrum. Here you can see the centrum as the body of that vertebrae. Here you can see the body of the vertebrae, that is the centrum, known as the centrum. Then its two opposite end of that centrum that articulate, that together make a neural canal through which the our spinal cord is coming out. You can see the neural canal here. You can see that through the neural canal our spinal cord is coming out in the through the neural canal. Then we can see two neural arches are there, transverse process, known as the transverse process. You can see the transverse process here, two projecting regions known as the transverse process, and a neural spine also you can see. The neural spine, they help the vertebrae to attach to each other. They help it to attach each other. That is the structure of the vertebrae. So that it is attached, it is movable because attached in such a way that we can move our body. It is flexible because of its particular attachment. It can slide over, a little movement is possible. Then here the explanation of each region is given here. Then the rib cage, you can see there are 12 pairs of ribs that make the bony cage or the rib cage. Here the first 7 pairs are known as the true rib. You can see they are the true rib. The first 7 of the ribs, they are really attached to the front, that sternum. The chest bone is known as the sternum. To the sternum, the 7 first ribs are attached. So they are known as the true ribs. Then again you can see the 8th, 9th and 10th pairs of ribs do not articulate directly with the sternum but join to the 7th rib. Then again so they are again the last 11 and 12th pairs of ribs that are not attached. You can see the 11 and 12th that are not attached to the sternum. Really they are not attaching anywhere. So they are known as the floating ribs. True rib, false rib and floating ribs are there. Then with the help of a particular cartilage known as the hyaline cartilage, that is strongly attaching these bones to the sternum. You can see the middle part, that is the sternum. Then again bones of the limb. First let us learn the forelimb. Forelimb, that is the arm. Arm, its upper part is known as the humerus, and in the lower part it is radius and ulna are the two parts of the here. I shall show you the pictures.